Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. This past week, I think that many of you saw the Future of Money, the digital currency. It was a conference that was held by one of the committees in Congress, and this guy, Representative Brad Sherman, had he was very anti-cryptocurrency, and he had made the comment that we should ban the purchase, and I believe he said we should ban the purchase of cryptocurrencies and mining of cryptocurrencies, and how they're only useful to drug dealers. He said that was the effect of what he said. So I thought that it's pretty important to cover this, because what we're seeing in this space right now is every so often we will see someone crop up that's in the government. Usually it's in the government, but we're seeing people pop up that have some sort of agenda, and that's why these politicians are easy. They're good people to be sent up to speak on behalf of who knows who's behind their agenda. But this guy, Brad Sherman, I guess it was his turn, and he said that. So I thought that it'd be an interesting exercise to let's look at his resume and let's see where his standing is to be able to weigh in on cryptocurrencies. Because as far as I can see in his resume, his only qualification is that someone put him on the Financial Services Committee. This guy has been in the public sector for his entire life, even though in his resume he tries to present when he's an instructor at Harvard, he tries to present this in such a way as his being in the private sector, probably because that would give him a little more credibility in his as a representative. But he basically got a Harvard, he went to school and then got a Harvard law degree, and then he goes and becomes a Harvard instructor, and through that is from what I can tell, kind of like a consultant through Harvard and a CPA firm, and does audits of companies. And then, of course, he goes to the public sector, where he's been for over 20 years as a public official. And at some point, he gets appointed in 97 to present. He gets appointed to the Financial Services Committee, and therefore he's smarter than the rest of us, and he knows more than we do. Well, I find this hilarious, and this guy really made an idiot out of himself, in my opinion. But this kind of stuff is not to be taken serious. This guy obviously has some kind of an agenda, and it's worthy of looking this up. You've probably heard this by now. His largest backer is Allied Wallet, which is like apparently a credit card processing company, and so there you go. But while we're here and we're talking in terms of the credibility of Congress people, I think that the greatest example in the history of Congress people that you should all know about, that's worthy of looking at, is when the Representative Hank Johnson said that he was worried that if we put too many Marines on the island of Guam, that that Guam might tip over. An island might tip over. And if you think I'm making that up, this is from Snopes right here, and they even say it's true. You can go on YouTube and watch. This is the most unbelievable clip of video that you will ever see in your life. But I put it on here to illustrate the point to you. Just by virtue of these people being in Congress does not make them smart, does not make them educated. It doesn't make them anything. And these people that make these comments about cryptocurrencies and this type of thing, when they obviously know nothing about what they're talking about, is embarrassing. And it's amazing that they'll get in front of a camera and say some of the things they say. But what I want to talk to you about today is where the people who really do know what they're talking about, and why I know this and how this all really unfolds, the people that you really should look to see why the cryptocurrency and the blockchain industry is going to be so huge. And I want to start by telling you a brief couple of stories. When I was a kid, we lived near Atlanta, Georgia, and so when I was a kid, I had my cousin was a student. He was an engineering student in mechanical engineering at Georgia Tech, and my father took me to, because my father went to Georgia Tech. Well, we went up there. It may have been for a football game or something, but I remember this like it was yesterday. We met in the computer lab at Georgia Tech. Now, for those of you that don't know, Georgia Tech is one of the best schools in the Southeast. It's an engineering school that's known worldwide as one of the best engineering schools in the world. And so we were in their computer building, and I remember my cousin pointing at the computer and pointing. This is before, if you can imagine, this is before there was a mouse. He pointed at this guy using one of these, and as I recall, it looked something like this. And he said, "Those right there, they call it a mouse." And he goes, "One day you will see those with every computer. You will see those." And I watched the guy moving his cursor just like this around the screen. And all of us just looked at that like, why in the world would I use that? And that was at Georgia Tech before the mouse was actually a thing. And that made quite the impression on me. What also made an impression on me, and this is when computers were just, I believe the old Texas Instruments and maybe the Commodore 64 were just starting to get into houses. I remember that same cousin who was going to Georgia Tech, he had a girlfriend, and I remember they came over for dinner, and the girlfriend was carrying one of these old compact. This is what for those of you the younger generation out there, this was one of your first laptop computers. It was a suitcase computer, and this thing folded out, had like a monitor that would pop out of here. But I remember her bringing this thing and just being blown away that, wow, they're actually a computer that they carry around with them. But my point in telling you those stories is that innovation comes from these universities. I mean, there are countless examples of companies that were hatched, Google being one, that were hatched out of these universities. And if you really want to find out what's going on in technology and what's coming, it comes from the universities. It doesn't come from ignorant congressmen. These people don't know anything about what they're talking about. And usually they have some kind of monetary agenda behind the scenes that dictates what they say and how they say it. And so I wanted to take you through just a couple of things. What are the universities saying? What are they doing? And to really make this point. So, and the reason I got this idea is my father, the other day, he told me that his Georgia Tech News alumni magazine that he gets had an article about blockchain in it, and I told him to send it to me. And so this is what he sent. This is the internet version of what he sent to me. And so I'm not going to try to read you these whole articles, but I do want to read you a couple of quotes from a couple of things at different schools that they're saying and doing. This in the Georgia Tech one that I'm reading, they interview different people and then they weigh in on their opinion. But this is from a quote that I read in this Georgia Tech one. Stephen Pear, who is the co-founder, president, and CEO of BitPay, the largest blockchain payment processor in the world, goes even further in comparing the technology's importance to the internet. Yes, blockchain is important, but maybe times 10, Pear says. The innovation we're talking about is a computer science breakthrough as significant as the printing press. So let that sink in. Alan Meckler, chairman and CEO of Meckler Media, an early investor in the commercial internet and now a venture capitalist focused on blockchain. If you go back, there were naysayers about the internet, says Meckler, who feels the same vibe today about blockchain. Besides with the likes of Amazon, Google, Goldman Sachs, and IBM rolling out their respective blockchain plans, it's only a matter of time before it becomes a staple, Meckler says. If it's only 50% as good as the pro-blockchain and crypto people say, it will still be bigger than the internet. That's pretty huge. So, and then I wanted to show you, and so I went and looked around. Now this is from Wharton. Wharton is of course one of the greatest business schools in the world. In fact, some of you may or may not be Donald Trump fans, but he went to Wharton, and I think his son went to Wharton as well. And that may be a good or a bad thing to you. But I wanted to give you a quote from what they say in this article from Wharton magazine. Quote, all intermediaries, banks, lawyers, accountants could be replaced by blockchain. That's one of the quotes from this article. That's how big we're talking. Another quote, blockchain can be more impactful than the internet, says Emil Woods. It's not a matter of if now, it's a matter of when. So that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about let's ban cryptocurrencies and it's only for drug dealers. That got pitiful. So this is from Stanford's website. Stanford computer scientists launched the Center for Blockchain Research. The new center will address blockchain's practical, legal, and societal challenges and develop a curriculum to facilitate its use across a variety of fields and applications. So they're going to open a center for blockchain. These are some of the smartest people in the world that are opening a center for blockchain and it only works for drug dealers. This is Berkeley, blockchain at Berkeley. They have literally created a coursework for this. Bitcoin protocol consensus. Their course syllabus, excerpt from Digital Gold, how Bitcoin works in 5 minutes. The Silk Road, the Bitcoin white paper, the Bitcoin developer guide. All of these different parts of the Bitcoin and blockchain history, from cyberpunk movement to JP Morgan Chase. And don't think this isn't where Ripple is right here. So anyway, I think that you kind of get my point. But let's drive this point home even more where it applies to you and me. And that is with Ripple. Do you think it's a coincidence that Ripple just happened in June to announce that they're going to have a university blockchain research initiative? I mean, come on. Every time, I want to make this point about Ripple and the reason that Ripple is the one. Many reasons, but have you noticed that at every time you turn around, Ripple is right there with a new strategy or an additional strategy that is exactly on point with where they need to be to not just make Ripple the company and XRP huge, but to make it a world-changing investment. But look at this. Ripple introduces University Blockchain Research Initiative. Now, this is from a little while back in June, but I want to make the point in what I'm talking about here with these universities. Ripple has committed over $50 million in funding, okay? And what do? They're funding these different schools to come up with new innovations having to do with blockchain, and you know that it's XRP specifically. They didn't say it in the article, but go figure. This is a list of the schools that they're going to be that this initiative is going to help to fund. All these major schools across the world, and they didn't just, which is very smart. Look, they're even at MIT. That's probably the #1 engineering school in the world, and they didn't just do it in the United States because they're smarter than that. Just like they partnered with Japan and SBI, they're doing this across the world because they're not going to limit themselves to just the United States. Okay, now this last part of my video might appear to some of you to be controversial, and many of you may not agree with what I'm fixing to say, but it's true. The truth sometimes is a little uncomfortable, and the irony is the guy that I'm fixing to talk about, he says something, and I think that he was in some of his comments he was trying to be not nice to me, but that's fine. I'm able to sift through the truth and what's not the truth, and what this guy says here is the truth, and you should all really let this sink in, because I did it myself. I'm doing it right now, And at some point, you have to think this way. This guy made a comment in my Twitter feed. His name is Matt Dobson, at Matto-Dobo or whatever. But anyway, he made this comment. Most millionaires did not start out with a diversified portfolios. They diversified when they became rich, or what most regular folk would call well off. And he is 100% right. And I know that you guys, and there's many YouTubers and many people that tell you diversify. What I just want to tell you the mental exercise that I went through many years ago. When I first got into this, the first thing I did is I was doing the shotgun approach, like a lot of people do. I went into Bitcoin, and then I bought several of these different small cryptocurrencies. Had a little bit of everything, but over the course of a period of time, the more that I really looked at it and read, I came to the overwhelming conclusion that none of them, not one, was even in the ballpark of XRP in terms of, first of all, in terms of the amount of time that has been spent building everything that's around XRP. That Ripple has spent over 5 years doing this. The next one in line, well, the first one in line would be Bitcoin, but it doesn't even have a company behind it. I mean, it's out there, then it was put out there by someone, but Ripple and in turn XRP has been in the works for over 5 years. There's not a digital asset that you can name that has that going for it. You've got Litecoin, but it's the same thing. The founder of Litecoin doesn't even own it anymore. He sold all of his back in December, I believe. And I'm sure he's bought some more back, but still, the point is that Ripple, the company, is the only company that has anything that is in any way tied to a cryptocurrency that has been at it for over 5 years and has had people that are waking up and working every day to increase the value of that digital asset. It's been going on for over 5 years. And at some point, everybody comes back to that conclusion, in my opinion, if you're really being honest with yourself. But the way that it has to do with what this guy is saying here, he's right. I mean, he's right. Diversification is great for someone who's working towards retirement in 30 years. But you've got to ask yourself, what is your goal in this? Because I believe that you can make a ton of money even if you diversify amongst many, many digital assets. But if you've truly, really done your homework and you know which one is the behemoth over all of them and stands to be larger than any by multiples and multiples, it's XRP. It's not even a question. And if that's the case, then you will do the same thing that the guys because what this guy is saying, and I'll give you 3 examples. Jeff Bezos. Do you think Jeff Bezos became a billionaire because he was diversified among Amazon, Pets.com, eBay, and this and this and this? No. He believed in everything that he was doing at Amazon, and he believed in it fully and completely. And he put everything that he had into Amazon, probably many times when he stood to lose everything he had. And the next 2 guys are no different. Bill Gates put it all on the line for Microsoft. He wasn't investing half in Apple and half in Microsoft and half in this other company, a computer company over here. He put everything he had in Microsoft. And now, as a billionaire, he's probably very diversified. But he wasn't in order to get rich, he put it all in line because he believed in what he was involved in. He believed in what he was building and what was being built. And the final example I'll give you is Mark Zuckerberg. He did not put half of his money in Facebook and half in, I'm drawing a blank. What was the one before Facebook? It was MySpace. But MySpace, he did not invest half in MySpace. He didn't keep one foot on first and say, I think I'll invest half my money in MySpace and half in Facebook because I halfway believe in it. He put it all on the line, and he and he was a huge winner, obviously, in the end. And I'm not saying that to tell you not to invest in other cryptocurrencies. I'm going to probably own at least one Bitcoin in the end before I hang it up. But what I am telling you is just take a hard look at all of them and understand that. Ask yourself what you really want. What do you want? Do you want to, because there's not a doubt in my mind that Bitcoin is going to go up. But if you put $1,000 in Bitcoin, what can you make on that? Versus if you put $1,000 in Ripple at 45 cents. I believe that $1,000 in Ripple at 45 cents in the long haul will make you far more money than Bitcoin ever would with $1,000 invested, because because of many reasons. It's a better technology, it's faster, it's cheaper, it's everything better than Bitcoin. And for that reason, over the long haul, investors and everybody else is going to realize the facts about why XRP is so much better than all of the others. And the professional investment community and the retail investment community will come to the same conclusion that we have. And if you truly believed in what you were investing in, you will take the lesson of what this guy said to heart, because he's right. I know it's uncomfortable and it might give you a knot in your stomach, the idea of putting all your eggs in that one basket. But we're not talking about over the long term. I'm not talking about once you've made your money, not diversifying. That's what I'm going to do. The second that I've gotten to where I want to be, I will diversify like nobody you've ever seen. Okay, well, enough of that. I wanted to tell you that I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am the digital asset investor, not an investment advisor. I need you guys to please subscribe and hit the like button as much as you can. And I say it every time I do a video because it's important. The Ledger Nano S is the safest way to hold your cryptocurrencies. It's a hard wallet that's cold storage where you're storing it offline. And so you can get one directly from their website. I've got a link to it in the description of my videos. You can also get your crypto merchandise with a 10% discount and free worldwide shipping. I've got that that link in my description as well. Thank you guys for listening.